Hello, welcome to Artisan Electrics, where we are in sunny Sussex today, very similar to Essex, but with an S, and the people are significantly different. We've got a helper with us today. We've got young Reuben, a little legend, and he's on his work experience. So he's thinking about what college course to do, trying to guide him in the right way, lead him towards the light, to doing electrics. You never know, maybe you'll be seeing more of him, but time will tell. So we've got a periodic inspection that we're going to be doing. It's one of them, periodic inspection. It can be a super easy job where it's just in, out, shake it all about, or it could be a complete and utter nightmare with fault after fault. No idea. Get cracking and we'll see what we uncover. As usual, we always just bosh out, start on the left, work our way through it methodically, testing every circuit to try and get a real feel for the installation and what it contains. So I hope you enjoy the video. As always, any questions, just fire them into the comments below, or opinions. You're always welcome to them. Yeah, I hope you enjoy. Okie dokie, so we're just going to work our way through the circuits. So we're going to start with the cooker and just basically go left to right, doing all the circuits. So I've just shorted out the line and earth. So I'm now going to go into the kitchen and do my R1, R2. Okie dokie. So I've got that. So now I'm going to record that reading, and I'm going to switch the circuit on, liven it up and get our ZS reading. So take our little jumper leads, thing back in its respective place. You don't want to liven it back up while you've got the jumper leads on. We could, if we wanted to, plug into the socket to get our ZS reading there, but I've got it off. It's not a great reading. Try it again and push down a bit harder. Might have just not been pushing down hard enough. There we go, I just think I was pushing down hard enough. So 0.30, cool. So we'll switch that off, reinstate that circuit, and then we're good on there. All right, so we've got our new COVID thermometer. You have to stick it in your ear, but it's slightly too big. So we're not gonna use it for that, we're gonna use it inside the tank. So we've isolated it. This one has a thermal cutout on it, whereas I don't believe this one does. Actually, does this have a thermal cutout? Yes, it does. So we're going to quickly swap this over. I'm just going to double check. I checked it at the spur, but can never be too sure. Yeah, we're all good. Untangled, there we go. Alrighty, Aphrodite. Let's nip that off. Super easy, literally 2 wires. Oh, it's warm. Yeah, it's the same size. I think this one's just a bit knackered. Cool. Need a slightly smaller screwdriver, like this one. I've got a smaller Klein one somewhere. I think it's in my van. It always falls out of my pocket in between the seats. Right. So that just slides into the top there. And then put that back just as before. already nicely ferruled up. Oh, this one is. Make sure it's all super tight. Give it a little tug test. In fact, do not. All these pipes are absolutely roasting hot. Okie dokie. And that is that. All done. I'll just set the temperature to whatever that was set to, about 40 degrees. Just over 45, say 45 degrees. And then put the little cover back on. And have a nice new thermostat. And while we're here, I'll just nip the cover off of this for you spare. And we'll get our R1, R2 back to the board. I usually quite like doing R2 rather than R1, R2. Which in fact, do you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up my long lead and do a R2 long lead method, because they've got loads of metal light fittings everywhere. Like, they've got these types of fittings in every room. So it's very likely that's what's called a class 1 fitting, so it will require an earth connection. So what we'll do is we'll get up my long lead, we'll connect it onto the earth bar at the board. We'll just go around and touch all the metal points just to make sure that they're all correctly earthed, and have a good path back. So whilst we're doing that, we might as well just drop the corresponding cables out the earth bar and just R2 everything and then get ZS. So it's not actually a requirement to have R1 plus R2. If you do R1 plus R2, it means you don't have to do ZS. So that's obviously an advantage. It's slightly safer because there's no live work, because the R1 ZS is equal to ZE plus your R1 R2. However, if you do the R2 long lead method, it's perfectly acceptable, but you will have to then get ZS. But I don't mind, because to be honest with you, even when I'm doing R1 R2, I always tend to get ZS anyway, just to sort of be belt and braces. So I think that's the method we're going to come for. So see you shortly. Which is gross because it means I didn't shower last night, but stayed all right. Literally woke up like this. Tell me, viewers, keen-eyed viewers, what can you spot here in this bathroom? Can you see any potential faults? I feel like I'm on something special or something, or Dora the Explorer. Where's the fault? Can you see it, Diego? It's behind me. Oh no, it's not. Oh yes, it is. So I personally would take issue with that. I think some people might disagree with me. Technically, that sort of height, you're entering zone 2 territory. I think because of the shower head, and maybe it's just me as a very clumsy person, as you've already seen, I'm a useless womble. I probably would be spraying water all over this bathroom if I had that shower head. Also, I've got a lot of surface area to wash. So I would actually still count that as zone 1 personally, just because of the shower head. But regardless, even if it's in zone 2, anything that's in that zone needs to be at least IP4X and a maximum of 12 volts, I think, selve as well. And obviously that's 230 volts, and you've got the isolation switch there. So the transformer, we'll have to change that. That will actually fail the installation now, in my opinion. I would put that down. So I've just tapped the mic there, you've probably just had your eardrums blown out. I would put this down as a fail now, as a code 2. I'm going to check my book. I've got the little code breakers book, because I don't know if I'm being too fussy, but really I would like a low voltage transformer out the way somewhere in the loft, and just 12 volts in this area. So just blank that off, replace that for a 12 volt connection, and then have a fuse spur and transformer in the loft. Maybe have the isolator over by the door somewhere or something. But yeah, that's what I take issue with. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or if you spotted anything else. Maybe that I'm not spotting. You've got a little aqualizer shower, but that's okay there. Again, they're usually just a little low voltage cable, a little ribbon cable that goes up to the pump in the loft, which is isolated, so I haven't got a problem with that. Is there anything else we can see? Any other electrics, shaver plugs? This is what you want to do on an inspection really. I was just explaining to Reuben here that a lot of the inspection, you're using all your senses, you're not just testing. It's inspection and testing, not testing and inspection, because a large part of it is just getting that initial feel for the property. Using smell, sight, sound, Jedi mind tricks to like sense the cables in the wall. But I've had it before where I've been at properties where I've not seen anything wrong, but you can smell the burning. Like you can smell that horrible electrical fishy burning smell. And then that will lead to further investigation, or you might hear like a buzzing or a crackling from a contactor or an RCD or something. And again, it's using them senses. So usually when I'm working, I try to, on a fault find or a periodic inspection or something, I try and work with my headphones out. As you know, I'm a big fan of using my headphones, but I quite like to be able to hear and have sort of all senses in full operation. But yeah, that's the only problem I can find in here so far. Obviously, I've not started testing properly. I want to test this. The annoying thing is, I don't know, how do you guys get around this? I know, completely painted in this. I mean, this is weird. I can't, like, it's gonna be such a pain getting that out to test. But it's like, try that. Tool of the day. Milwaukee, I've had it for years, fastback knife, but honestly, it's my favourite Stanley knife. Just super smooth, like how it flicks out, change the blades easily. Blade probably is well overdue a replacement, but yeah, tool of the day I think. I probably should be recommending like an insulated one or something, but how many sparks really use them in this country? I think as soon as you hit Europe, that's when they start using the insulated knives. Oh, I see, that is literally just the light switch, but yeah, that looks okay to me. Just give the connections a little check over, tighten up while we're in there, because it's just good practice too, and why not? We don't like loose connections, do we? What's funny is, I've been slated a few times in comments by decorators for being selfish and not, oh, I can't believe they've not put that board 30mm to the left so that you didn't have to paint that little strip or whatever when you're literally tied to the length and width and things of cables. Like, but then decorators will come and like slap paint all over your sockets and light fittings so that you have to like play Indiana Jones and start chiseling your way out without actually cracking half the paint off the wall. Right, I'm standing here like a teapot because I'm trying to think of a good way to explain the R2 test and what it is that I'm doing. But basically, what we're doing is this is going to go down and clip onto the individual earth wires for each circuit, or if I'm being honest, oftentimes just the earth bar in the board. And what this is doing is making a really long lead to test from one end of a cable to the other end. So you don't just have to use it for the earth, you can use it for any cable. In fact, often if I've got a fault, the quickest way to fault find is with this. The next time I have an opportunity, a fault to demonstrate it, I will, and I'll make a video of it. But because you can literally clip it onto individual conductors and just test until you've lost it. Say you've got a fault on a ring or something, you could split the ring in half, clamp that onto one end, boom, 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 boom. There you go. That's where it's lost, etc. So every electrician, in my opinion, needs to have one of these. This is my own one that I got off Amazon. Jordan's probably got a better one somewhere. But in fact, you know, that is our tool of the day, part 2. Not honestly, and that's not just like a commercial or tool of the day. I want to sell stuff to you. They're just amazing. if you're testing, you need one for fault finding for anything, even on like auto electrics. You can, anyway, we're not going to go into that. But what you have to do is you've got to reel that piece of cable, so obviously that's going to contain a measure of resistance in it. So we zero that out. We set our test meter to low resistance ohm meter or continuity. I know my reel, I know that it contains about 1.13 ohms inside of it, so I can just test and then remove that reading off if I want to, but it's easier just to zero it. And what you're going to want to do, if your test meter tests between live and neutral, obviously line and neutral need to go into there. Sorry, I need to turn my phone onto mute. So if I'm testing between line and neutral, then obviously I'd plug neutral into the test lead, and then this would go over there. But my test meter, it tests between line and PE. So I'd plug that into there. So my test meter's earth is going into there, and this side will be my side which I'll go and touch all the metal work with to test it. And this end will go and clamp onto the board. So we'll do that now. So we'll just quickly check it's zeroed correctly. Yep, so that's zeroed out. So we're not measuring the resistance of the lead. So obviously that would then make it accurate. The annoying thing with the Referral tester is I can't get rid of that. When you've got the Fluke or the Mega, you can obviously decide what leads you want in here. When you've got the Referral, you have that silly plug, which means you've got annoying leads sitting around waiting to get damaged. So we'll quickly go plug this in. I'll see you in a bit. I'll save the cameraman running down the stairs. Right. So now we're going to get this useless lead and get this out of the way. I'm going to be honest, I don't like Referral very much. I don't rate them. Shoot me down. I hate to sound unappreciative because it's a super expensive tester that Jordan's bought me to use. I just don't like it. I personally, if I had to choose, it'd be Mega as number one, and then probably Fluke, and then probably Q-Tech, and then probably Referral after that, just because they're so complicated, unnecessarily complicated. It's cool that they can do all the RCD types, and you can test pretty much anything that you'd ever need to test. Don't get me wrong, especially for EV, it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's cool. It's pretty cool, but in terms of just actual day-to-day use, and like the battery doesn't last long. I'm just not a massive fan. Whereas the Fluke, you can do like the 2-lead ZS. There's loads of cool features on it. Sorry, the Megas, I mean. So I just want to get a nice tight connection on that. Yeah, good. Make sure it all looks all right. We'll get it down in a minute, anyways, because we want to do a visual inspection on a percentage of all the things. So see here, again, this is very likely a class 1 light switch, so we just make sure the screws and bits are earthed around it. Yep, so they're earthed. Any other metal fittings? Yes, there is lots. I'm not massively worried about the exact reading, because as I say, we'll get our proper readings when we take the fittings down. I just want to make sure that it's a reasonably low number, sort of just below an ohm or thereabouts, because the chances are there's going to be enamel and paint and things on it. Well, it'll probably add a lot of resistance anyways, so you know, it's just making sure that there is an earth present at the fitting. This one just above your head. Yep. Also try not to scratch any nice shiny fittings as well in the process. Great. So all the upstairs light fittings are earthed. I think we are all good. And that is why we take down the things properly to inspect them. It's pretty rough, isn't it? I don't really get what the point of that piece of cable there is. I don't know why they didn't just take that straight into the terminals, but yeah, obviously that's non-compliance, so that will be something that needs to be sorted. And I strongly suspect all of them are probably like that. So I'm going to take down another one and have a little check, and that would be a recommendation on the certificate as well. So I thought I'd just show you it. Yeah, so again it's I suspect there's another junction box up there, or one looped off of that. The only thing is the cable's wedged really tight. I don't actually think I'm going to be able to, no, I'm not going to be able to get that down to inspect it, annoyingly. So again, we just take a picture for the certificate and move on. Maybe I'm even blasé, but these sort of connections don't really bother me that much. Like, the chances are pretty much every English house, I'd like to say other than new builds, but the way new builds are done now, probably new builds as well, have connections like that. And I can't say that I've ever seen any that are like caught fire. As long as they're tight, it's bad practice, and obviously I'd never do it. And I put it down to repair, but at the same time, it's not something where I see and like have a heart attack about. The only thing I have noticed is, obviously in the past, they've not quite done the connections right, which is probably a reason why you want to at a minimum tape it. So you can see where it's looks like it might have sparked off of the back where a live cable's touched it. I think that's what that damage looks like. So kind of undone my own words there, haven't I, by saying that. But yeah, that'll need to be done properly, because I'm not like I say, even though it wouldn't make me lose sleep at night, those connections, it's not something that I'm happy to leave, because it's not entirely safe and it's definitely not professional. So yeah, come join me if you wish. Oh. Subtitles, grunting noises. Let's put the little protective probes back on. 0.33. So we're just doing some testing up here. It's a bit of an uncomfortable angle, but I've had to kind of shimmy along. I'm not the most petite person on this green earth, but I just wanted to check like visual inspection of these little MC4 plugs, all the isolators, making sure all the isolators are on okay, no single insulated cable showing, yada yada. And yeah, it looks like a reasonably good job has been done. It's not quite up to oval renewable standards, but it's good. So yeah, just going through everything, and I've done my R1 and plus R2. Now I've just done my ZS, but I think before my neck snaps off, I'm gonna get out of here. Okay, so a little tip for when I'm testing the ring final continuity is I very rarely would do it at the board. I will, if I'm doing work in the consumer unit anyway, say a consumer unit's change or something, then I might do it there. But otherwise, I tend to choose a nice convenient socket that I'm inspecting, and whilst I'm inspecting it, I'll just do that here, because that way I don't need to work out which leg is which. Hey friend, I don't need to work out which leg is which. I know, sorry buddy, you can't have that. This is my little hairy assistant today. Because I can see which cable's coming in. Sometimes in a consumer unit, the cables are all so jumbled up that you can't actually work out which one's coming from where if they're not marked. So we'll just get our end to ends. So I've zeroed my leads. So we expect this to be the same as this. So we expect our R1 to be the same as our RN. So it's or thereabouts. So 0.72. We have here 0.75, so it's perfectly acceptable. And we expect this to be proportionally higher. So 1.14, yeah, I'm happy with that. And now we're going to cross connect the legs. So just going to do that with jumper leads. and we're going to test for a figure of 8 ring basically. So now I've linked that out, I will change my test leads and we'll go around and test all the individual points. I can honestly say I've never had that before. I've just taken this socket off so that I can test it. The screw was so threaded that I've actually snapped the piece off. So I've actually got the end of the screw there. So I've just about managed to yank it out with my pliers. I've had to like bend it and get it out. And basically both the screws, all of the screws in this property are completely threaded. So everything I've taken out, but thankfully I've got a little 3.5 tap. We'll put the link for that in the description. Honestly, just the biggest lifesaver, because that there, look, I've got a new screw, but even still you'll see it's completely, you're not going to screw that in because there's just no thread there. It's just spinning uselessly. So I've got my little thread. So M3.5 is the sockets screw size that we use. So we'll just spin that through, get a nice thread on it, and then that should then mean, in fact, you know what, we'll do the other one as well. But just a lifesaver to have on the van, an absolute essential, arguably the most valuable tool in the van, because if you imagine you're on a site somewhere, it's like 4:30, about to go home, just screwing a socket up and you thread it. Do you really want to be replacing a box or going and buying a little socket saver or something? Whereas if you've got that, you can literally just bosh out the thread, and then look, it's catching now, you're good to go. I don't know if we're allowed to tell them where we're going for lunch because of like copyright reasons. What rhymes with it? There's a colonel, guy that works and lives there, fluffy white hair. The chain was actually, the recipe actually comes from Japan. Interesting fact for you, it's not what you think. And they serve fried chicken. So probably going to go there. And I feel like I need to keep up the pretense of being a vegan, just because, banter in it. And also there's a lot of vegan followers who are like, got massive respect for me for being vegan, but I don't know how to break this to them. I'm like the worst vegan on this planet. I forget that things are meat. I try to be vegan, but then like I'll have a chicken burger or something. I'm like, oh yeah, dang it, that was chicken. But I'm trying again. I am on a new front to be vegan again, vegetarian. But today I'm just having I'm having a rest day. Like you can't hit the gym every day. You can't like it's unreasonable to be perfect all the time. You've got to let your hair down a little bit sometimes. And for me, just every now and then, to be a good vegan, I've got to just not be a vegan on the odd occasion. And that's going to be today because KFC's doing a deal. Oh, sorry, not KFC. Something like KFC, but not KFC. On the cookie scale of goodness, Subway is 1,000,000% at the top. Like, they win every cookie fight, hands down. Like, if there was a boxing ring and confectionaries had to go into it, my money is on Subway. Subway is the David Haye giving birth to a baby with Mike Tyson in the ring. They're just, so good. But only when they're right, and they can be got wrong. For a good cookie, it needs to be soft. A cookie should not be hard. A biscuit should be hard. A cookie needs to be soft. That's essential. I don't care where you're from or what. Don't at me, basically. Don't comment. Don't you dare comment. Cookies are soft. And the sweetness with a level of crunch added, not by how well baked it is. The level of crunch needs to come from an alternative source. Like, I don't know, macadamia nut, for example. I remember I once met a wise cookie shaman who taught me everything there was to know in the way of cookie. And one day I'll pass that knowledge on. I'm thinking of like chucking out a course or something in cookie baking and cookie appreciation as well. key is to hold it on your tongue. You know, like a fine whiskey. If it's taken 40 minutes to bake that cookie, you're not just going to wolf it down in a few seconds, are you? You need to hold it on your tongue for about at least a minute for every 10 minutes it's cooked. On average, I'd probably hold a cookie on my tongue for a good 10-15 minutes to like kind of get the depth out of it. But yeah, Jordan's probably going to chuck it on as like an additional package to his business course, just like a cookie course. But we're still negotiating rates because it's quite valuable knowledge, and I don't want to just you know what I mean? I don't want to undervalue myself and just chuck it away for free. So eventually, I'll give it away. Okay, so the EICR is done. As you can see, it didn't pass just because of the couple of little issues that we've flagged up. And when we come back, probably just do it all as one, get the board swapped and these other little remedial pieces as we done, to be done at the same time as we go. So yeah, that's all good. That's done. We're just going to quickly, we've got our consumer unit in the garage that he's asked to stick up while we're here. And it won't take long. We're not going to connect the board side in yet. When we come back to do the board change, we'll connect the armoured into the board. At the minute, it's just in the loft above. So we're going to connect up the garage consumer unit for him because we finished a little bit early. Get that wired up and mounted. It's just going to go there, and then basically they'll run like some conduit or some dado trunking or something ourselves. Our customer's quite skilled, so they'll probably do it themselves, and then when we come and change the board, we'll come and just test it all and sign it off with the consumer unit. But we're just going to get the power in here. So yeah, I'm just making off the SWA gland for them because it's just convenient because I've already got all the tools in my bag. Got a metal splinter. I'd like to put a teeny bit of tape on it. If I'm doing a big cable, then I'll do zip ties down it just to stop that from ever splitting out. And then I don't tend to tape the whole thing. I'll just put a little stripe of tape in a few places up and down the conductor, just literally enough to identify it quite clearly, what conductor I'm using for what, and the kind of British standard colours when you're using this coloured cable is black is your earth and grey is your neutral. Why they didn't choose to go for black as neutral to keep in concordance with the old colours, I'll let you research and comment. But obviously it's to do with phase colours. You definitely don't want to mix up phase and neutral. No, we've finished. Just done him a little solid while we're here. Connected up his cable. I need to get some cleats and things for it. But the other end of this isn't actually connected up to anything. But we're going to come back and do a board change soon in the house. It's partly why we're doing the test in the first place. So this cable, we've just whacked in this side. Going to let him work his magic with some dado trunking or some whatever he decides to do. I think personally, if you're watching this, Mr. Customer, a nice piece of trunking coming out of there, maybe 75 by 75, all the way along the wall, and then some just drops out the bottom for sockets. That'll look good. But I'll leave it to him. I'll leave it in his capable hands. Our customer is also a bee whisperer, which is pretty cool. He literally told the bee to leave, and the bee just packed its bags and packed its pollen and left the building. We are... Do you like that one? But yeah, we're finished. So we're just going to have a little tidy up, and then I need to type up the rest of the certificate and just like all the observations and things that I've found. But it's been a pretty chill day really, which is nice because As you can see from our videos, we've had a few stressful days, so it's nice to have a bit of a relaxed one for a change. But yeah, we're going to book, when we come back to do the board change, we'll do the remedials and bits if the customer hasn't beat us to it. Because like I say, he's an electrical engineer guy, electronics engineer, so he knows a lot more than me. So, although hopefully he doesn't ever see this and find that out, because he'll wonder why he's paying us. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. Maybe not, if I'm being honest, the most interesting video you've ever seen on this channel, but guess what? Too late, you've watched it, you sucker. Enjoy your evening and take care.